teachers, summer will be here before we know it. And if you're anything like me, you've already started making your summer to-do list. But I'm asking you to take a quick pause because I want to share with you the things that are actually worth your time this summer that will benefit you all year long. So you can check out my website, teachingintherealworld.com. I've got a new blog post about your summer to-do list and what you can prepare this summer that will make your life easier next school year. Or you can keep watching. I'm going to walk you through the things that are worth your time this summer that will actually make your life easier in the coming school year. Listen, as teachers, we all know how crazy summers can be. Most of us are working second jobs or full-time parenting. There isn't a lot of time. So we have to pick and choose wisely what it is we get to work on for our classroom. And that's where I want to help. So let's dive into what I do during the summer to make my life easier all year long. You can do this. Happy teaching. So before we dive into the to-do list, there's another list that you need to do that will help you to create that to-do list eventually. And this is a little bit of a reflection. So typically what I do in the back of my planner/agenda, I go ahead and I write out this list. And yes, I write it in the back of my plan book because I keep those every year. And I'm able to look back on them. And let me tell you, the things that stress you out are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller each year because you get better each and every year. So what you'll want to do is you'll make your T-chart, and on one side, you're going to celebrate yourself and you're going to write down all of the things that made your life easier, all of the things that went well, all of the things that prove how amazing you are as a teacher. Pat yourself on the back, you deserve it. Then you're going to go to the other side of the list and you're going to take an honest look at what is stressing you out. Go down to the littlest thing, whether it's sharpening pencils, whether it's your grading system, whether it's how you're setting up your groups, or the fact that your students are creating large learning gaps. Whatever the case may be, take an honest look at that and write every single thing down, because the summertime can be a great time to revamp those strategies. Maybe you need to just throw out some of them. Maybe you need to develop completely new procedures. You won't know until you list them out, but once you do, you'll be able to really look at them and think, what can I do to change this? How can I make it better? Because in the end, making your life easier is what's going to keep you in your classroom longer. All right, let's dive in next to the things that I don't recommend, and then I promise we're getting to the things that I put on my to-do list. All right, teachers, we are going to get to the to-do list and what I do recommend putting on this list. But really quick, I just wanted to touch base on 3 things that I don't recommend doing during the summer. The first thing is lesson planning. Now, I know it feels good to get your lesson plans written out for that first 9 weeks. And I've had a lot of teachers come in and say, look, I've got all my planning done. But in the real world, we all know that those lesson plans change weekly, daily, hourly sometimes. Sometimes we have students that need different accommodations, or sometimes even, and I have had this happen to me more than once, your administrator changes the subject you're teaching or even the grade level. You are a teacher, so you adapt, but you don't want to take all of that time planning out those lessons just to have them go to waste or not align with what your students need. So hold off on the lesson planning. Leave that for the week before instead of all summer long. To piggyback off of holding off on lesson planning, you really do want to hold off on interactive student notebook notes. So for me personally, I write my interactive student notebook or ISN notes prior to my students coming to class. That way they're up on the document camera and I can be walking the room or teaching as the students are writing them down. Now, I don't suggest writing out all of these ISN notes during the summer because it's the same thing that happens with the lesson plans. Things can change. Students' needs can change. Your students might need more accommodations. They might need more prior knowledge review. You never know. So I don't suggest writing out your ISN notes in advance. Wait until the week before or a few days before your students need to copy those notes. That way, they're exactly what your students need and they are definitely catered to what their learning needs are. There's just one more thing I don't recommend, and this is making copies. So, as we all know, or as most teachers feel, I think, going to the copy room is not a desired task. I avoid it at all costs. So sometimes teachers think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go in summer, nobody's there. I'm gonna make all my copies for the first quarter, get it out of the way, and won't have to go to the copy room again. While this sounds like a good idea in theory, unfortunately, it doesn't always quite work out. It's kind of the same thing with the lesson planning. You end up really using only about 1/3 of those copies and the rest kind of go to waste. And if your district is anything like mine, paper is a hot commodity and not something that you want to be wasting. So I suggest waiting to make the copies until you get closer to the school year or week by week. If you don't like going to the copy room, I really suggest having parent volunteers come in and make your copies for you. If you're not sure how to get parents into your classroom in upper elementary and middle school, check out my website, teachingintherealworld.com. I've got a great blog post on this that can help you. I haven't made copies in years, and it's all because I have parents that come in every week and make them for me. It is amazing. So hold off on the copies. All right, now we are going to finally get into the things that you should be working on this summer that will save you so much time all year long and will keep you in the teaching game as long as possible. Because remember, we are all about making our lives easier. All right, let's dive into that to-do list. It's finally time to start talking about the summer to-do list, the things that will give you the most bang for your buck. And believe me, I know, because I have tried this out over way too many summers to count. So the first thing that I definitely recommend putting on that summer to-do list is a declutter, organizational purge of your classroom. If you are feeling overwhelmed by this or not sure where to start, check out my video. I talk all about how you can get your classroom ready for the summer. It's available on my YouTube channel, Teaching in the Real World. I've also got a blog post to walk you through organization, decluttering, and getting rid of items. I know that that can be really stressful for a lot of people and you're never quite sure where to start, but I've got you covered and will walk you through it. If your campus allows, please go into your classroom this summer and take a couple of days to knock it out, because a clean classroom will have you feeling amazing. Everything will have a place. You won't have a bunch of clutter around, and you'll be able to focus, and so will your students. With a clean and organized classroom, you want to take a look at the layout as well. So that's a great thing that you can do over the summer, is you can plan your layout of your classroom and how you might move things around. Now, honestly, you probably won't be able to do that until it's closer to the new school year starting, just because there's always carpet cleaning, painting, or whatever the custodial staff needs to do. But that doesn't mean that you can't get it planned out. So I highly suggest taking a good hard look at your classroom and looking for places that maybe students are bottlenecked, or what's something that's distracting you in your classroom regarding the layout or where items are placed. For example, I always suggest putting the extra papers bin, turn-in bin, and pass-back tray by the door. That way, if students need to pop in and grab a paper from the extra papers bin or turn something in really quickly, they're not going to disrupt your class. In turn, I also suggest keeping your desk, your teacher desk, at the back of the classroom. If it's at the back of the classroom, I normally take up the back corner. You can create your own little space or zone, and it will honestly prevent students from placing things on your desk, because there's nothing worse than coming to your desk at the end of the day and it's piled up with items. These are just a few suggestions. I've got a bunch more on my blog post at teachingintherealworld.com of what you can do to make sure that your classroom layout is working to its full potential. But summer is a great time to plan this. All right, we've talked about the things that you can do in your classroom, so let's move on to the part of the to-do list that you can actually do at home. And my number one suggestion for things that you can do this summer at home is create templates. What I mean by this is you're going to essentially create your fill in the blanks for the whole year. So we all know that creating graphics, text boxes, outlines, worksheets, whatever the case may be, it takes a lot of time. And once you are in the throes of teaching and students and everything else, you just don't have time to do it. So the summer is a great time to create these structures on the page that will help you all year long. So I suggest creating a template for your monthly newsletter, create it for notes to students, create it for celebrations, create it for your novel study, things that they should be looking at every single chapter, create it for how to solve word problems. Whatever the case may be, this is a great time for you to create those templates so that you can use them all year long. You'll have the graphics done, you'll have the design done, and then all you have to do is fill in the blanks. If you're not sure where to start or not sure what to put on, say, a newsletter or a math word problem template, check out my website, teachingintherealworld.com. I've got tons of stuff in my teacher resources, and I've got blog posts that will help guide you through what to put in each of these things. Believe me, this is a great way to spend your summertime. It'll save you time all year long. Another great use of your time this summer is to plan class projects. Typically, class projects are best when they're presented to students during the first and the third quarter. So this is a great time for you to plan out those projects for them. Create the rubric, create the timeline, write out the parent letters. Make sure that you have every little piece needed in order to get that project done right. So during the summer, if you get these projects all planned out, then all you'll have to do is disseminate the information when it is time during the school year. You don't have to worry about all the prep work of planning a project. Again, if you need a little help with this, check out my website, teachingintherealworld.com. I walk you through rubrics, how to plan the project, and all of the things you might need. You might even just be able to use what I've got, and that'll save you even more time this summer. So planning projects is a great way for you to spend your time this summer so that your students can benefit all year long. Another great use of your time this summer could be to write out your parent letters. So if you have anything coming up, policies, procedures, anything like that, you'll want to have a parent letter available. So I always let my parents know if we're starting something new, if I'm implementing a new organizational strategy, my policies, whatever the case may be. I'm always very communicative with parents because in the end, their support helps make my life easier. So you can look at when you thought you might have needed parent letters last year and you just didn't have the time to write them. Now is the time. You can write out all of those parent letters and have them available to print and send home. In addition to that, you might want to start thinking about your Meet the Teacher back to school night. This is a great time to plan that out as well. You might want to wait a little bit because you need a little break, but you'll want to start planning your Meet the Teacher night because you don't want to just have an open door where people come and go, especially in the upper grades and middle school. You really need to have more of a structured event. Believe me, it'll make your life easier. If this is overwhelming you, don't worry. I have a step-by-step system, handouts, letters to parents, everything that has to do with back to school night on my website, teachingintherealworld.com. So this is a great time for you to plan that back to school night when you are at home during the summer. And we all know at the beginning of the year when you come back, you're not going to have any time. You're going to be inundated with meetings, professional development, oh yeah, and putting your classroom back together. So take this time during the summer to plan that back to school night. We are almost done talking about our summer to-do list, and although I know it seems that there weren't very many items on the list, they were significant things like creating templates, organizing your classroom, planning out your back-to-school night. All of those things take time, and you don't have time for them once the school year starts. So speaking of time, that's another thing that I highly recommend doing during your summer months. Really take a look at your time management. Take a look at when you're leaving your classroom, how many hours you're putting into a day. I have to tell you that just because you're a teacher doesn't mean that you're supposed to work 12 hours a day. It doesn't mean that you're supposed to take a tote bag filled with work home with you every single night. Please let me help you with that. I've got an amazing time management strategy that I've used for years, and it will help you to stay in the teaching game a little bit longer. So check out my video about teacher time management, my blog post, or my free teacher resources. Take a look at your time and how you're spending it in your classroom and think, what can you change so that you can get out of there at a reasonable hour? Because in the end, your work-life balance is so important to your mental health and to how you teach. It'll change everything. So hopefully this summer you can take the time to look at all of those different aspects of time management, templates, getting things planned out, organizing your classroom, and hopefully you can take some time for yourself too.